Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another episode of the Educational Leadership Podcast. We have another very special guest. Before we do introduce our guest, we do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Ideal Impact. Ideal Impact's giving away hundreds of millions of dollars to public education in the form of a free gift. So if your district needs unrestricted funds, reach out to Ideal Impact. Okay, today we have the superintendent from Elgin ISD back on the podcast again. Dr. Rueter, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yes, absolutely. It's Rueter, right?
It's Ritter. You said it right
Ritter.
the first time. Yes. Spelled Rueter, pronounced Ritter.
Ritter. Got it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome. And it's Elgin, not Elgin, right?
that's right.
Okay.
Yep. Again.
Got it. All right. So what's going on? What's new? So you were on the podcast here before, and I would love to hear just kind of some of the exciting things happening at the district.
You bet. Probably the most exciting thing in the district is our growth. We are extremely fast growth district, and we just got our newest demographic report yesterday. We'll be presenting it at our board meeting next week, and we're now seeing that we're like fourth in the Central Texas area percentage of growth. We're about hovering right around a 30% growth rate over the past 5 years. With that growth, we're seeing lots of new kids. We added from the first, just like the first 9 weeks of school, we added over 400 students. We're opening schools. We opened a new elementary this year. We're opening another one next year. We've started work on our new #2 middle school. We've added to our high school. We added this year over 800 seats to our high school. And we're just trying to stay in front of that growth and embrace it. And it's very exciting. Some challenges with that, but I think we're doing a great job handling those challenges and keeping our community on board. And it's been a really positive thing.
Sounds like it. Yeah. So interesting when you're seeing that kind of growth. Do you have to hire more people, like hire more staff members? It just seems like you have as you know, there's a lot that goes on in being a superintendent, right? So,
Right.
so all the normal day-to-day things that you got to deal with, now you got all this growth happening. I mean, obviously you can't do everything, or maybe you can. How does that work? Do you hire more leadership in certain areas or?
Well, this is perfect because what I really was hoping we could, visit about is what I've really seen in this role is with this growth and it's really any of us in public schools, period, but in school leadership in districts. What has become so apparent is the need for that strong leadership and how we design that and how we support that. We know that we have challenges with staffing that's getting better. We are seeing more teachers interested in our area. We're fortunate that with fast growth, we are seeing teachers many are coming back into the field. If they had already been in the field and left for whatever reason, many are coming back. We have more student teachers from the universities around us and all across the state. Kids are going into the field, and that is so encouraging and exciting. And I have more people now wanting to go into leadership positions if that's what is calling them. And so I would say in my role as superintendent, it's very important. It's easy at times to get really pulled down into the weeds of the work and the things that pull you day to day, because whatever it is that you may have on your calendar for that day, and all of us in leadership and schools know often a lot of things happen that mean, it might not be going exactly that way that you thought it would be. But we have to be so intentional in our roles. And as a superintendent of schools, that importance of the strong leadership and being very clear in what my role has to be, and really talking about what can and should the superintendent be doing, like what is the role, and really asking myself that before I ever put it on my calendar, before I move forward with action. And by having that filter for myself, it's helped me to organize my time, organize the work I do, and my influence. I'm very, very focused on on that senior leadership team with my cabinet role, which would be, those are my like deputy superintendent, assistant superintendents, executive directors. Not really increasing those numbers, but how are we increasing our capacity to be as effective as we can be? Our district leadership team, those are principals and up, so directors and other administrators, but and then really focusing on how we're supporting our principals. Because if we can't support our principals, then all of the great things we're trying to do are not going to move forward. And our principals support our teachers. So it all just has to flow, but it doesn't just happen haphazardly. You have to be intentional about it. And that's been probably my greatest focus this year.
Yeah, so you said a lot there, and it definitely makes you think. I kind of think about when dealing with businesses and kind of the correlation there. Um, you hear people say the team that got you here won't get you there, and then you also hear about having the right operational plan because if you think of the hierarchy and organizational chart, how it changes as businesses grow. Um, how does that evolve as a school district? Are there certain is there anybody you can go to and say, "Hey, we're growing. What should the new org chart look like?" And how do I know I have the right people in the seats because now we're growing? Are there conversations and resources and support around those kinds of thoughts, conversations?
There really is. I think we have to seek it out. I know TASA has been a great support to me with mentoring and coaching. And then I've also been a part of executive coaching, a superintendent leadership program with the Holzer Center, with both of those organizations, very much focused on how they support superintendents in our role through the coaching. I think coaching is huge. We all need it. The very best folks in their profession, whatever it may be, whether it's professional athletes to those of us in education, we need coaching and we need those people who have expertise to help guide us and have things, we can bounce things off of folks and they can give us advice and perspective that many times we might be so immersed in it that we can't see it. So that coaching is huge. I'm trying to provide that to my team as I can, and then take what I am learning from coaching I might be receiving and moving that forward with my central office, well, my cabinet team, and having them trying to teach them through structure of how we run our meetings, how we organize our time, how they can move that forward with the teams that they're leading as well.
Very good, very good. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot to that. So as that evolves, does your role kind of shift, I guess, more to like a contractor almost, because you're putting all this, have all.
Yeah, it does. It's my role has shifted greatly. This is my third year here. My role is very different than it was 3 years ago. And first year superintendent in a district looks very different than third year superintendent, where we just passed this bond and we're moving forward with all of the construction. But my role has shifted also in the way that, again, that what should I be doing? What can I be doing? What should I be doing? Focusing on that, my the focus on, board relations, how I keep a team of 8 going, and how I have the 7 bosses, and I make sure that I'm really trying to listen to what they bring and have an ear to the ground and really pay attention to the things that they're bringing forward and the needs of the community, that presence in the community, and then that district presence and the influence that I have in my role. I really loved my role when I used to be an assistant superintendent over teaching and learning. That was my passion. I've had to learn to shift, and it was hard. That's really, I am the lead instructional leader, yes, but it might not just be that I can spend my time in classrooms as much as I would love to. And I have to trust people on my team to lead some of that work because it's shifted for me. And I have to really be on top of so much in my district with so much happening and going on. Yeah, you have to build good, strong teams to help keep moving that good work forward, and then find ways that I can still be influential, that I can still be present. It just becomes a lot more intentional.
Yeah, yeah, no, it makes sense. It reminds me there's an author called his name's Dan Sullivan. Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy, they have a book called Who Not How.
Mm,
And it kind of makes me think about that because I mean part of it, and they run an organization called Strategic Coach, and they talk about, as you grow and scale, like all the tasks that you're involved with, and it's actually, that chaos is kind of an opportunity to uh to focus on the things that you really enjoy, that really are above your floor of expertise and all of that, and that you enjoy doing and you make the biggest impact with and that you're passionate about. And then like all those other tasks, like how do you find the who and not the how, and like
yeah,
structure. It's kind of it sounds like there's a little bit of an element of that happens there.
there is. And you have to be able to pivot with that. And you really have to pay attention to what the needs are in your community and on your campuses. One thing that I've started doing is, just I can't be everywhere at once. And so I've really started getting more intentional with my time and calendaring out and saying, okay, instead of just popping in on campuses and just walking around or just randomly, popping in, I've scheduled time more intentionally with, that principal to say, let's come, I'm going to come do a coffee in the morning before school starts, just so parents can come in and come visit with me, staff can come in and come visit with me, and I'm there, and it's before my day starts, before their instructional day starts. But it gives an opportunity for me to be present, me to be there, and then I'm visiting with that principal, the leadership team, whomever, and then I'm available for any of the community members who want to come in. Even students have been coming into those times. I did one today at the middle school, and each so informative. It helps me know more about what's going on, hear about the things that are going well, and then also make mental notes to say, okay, this is something I need to pay attention to and work with. And then another thing that I've started doing really recently is really paying attention with what I'm doing with my principals. I think the bigger you get in a school district and the faster things are growing and changing, it's easy to have those other people in the teams and folks who might supervise the principals do that work. And I looked up and I found myself as the superintendent missing that, but then I was missing that direct connection with them and that influence that really needs to happen about the vision of what we have in the district. So I've started meeting with them weekly, and it has been amazing. And we're moving a lot of things forward. And I know that they're really appreciative of that shift that I've made to try to be more available to them and listening, and have opportunities to directly work with them as they need it.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned the vision. That's actually what I was thinking about as well. It's kind of tied to another question, was like, there's another good book out there, same author, called The Gap and the Gain, and it talks about how vision is like a horizon, like the closer you think you are to it, the more it moves, right?
Yeah,
But when you reflect backwards, you can see the progress that's made, but the vision continues to move forward. I'm just kind of curious, like how I imagine. I guess a couple questions, and I know we're running short on time, but a couple questions. The vision, how is it evolving as you're growing? And then the second question is, how is the community, maybe the board, or maybe because we talk to a lot of districts, and the smaller districts seem to have that, very connected human to human interaction,
yeah,
and it seems like some of the larger districts, when you have all those layers, it gets more corporate. And
mhm.
just kind of curious, how do you, how have things been evolving, and maybe, and
Yeah.
how do you keep the human element going?
Yeah, well, have passing the bond last spring, I spent a long time, like months, once we called it in February, and then we, the election was in May, and the $375 million bond was the largest bond that Elgin had ever gone for. We had two propositions, and we were trying to pass some things that weren't successful in the previous bond. But trying to get innovative with that, but also that human connection piece, I think is what did it. We passed it with, 68% approval, which was phenomenal and one of the highest in the state at the time. And it was really because, and then asking, what was the difference? And for me to know what is it that I need to continue and not just stop because we passed that bond, but it was that human connection that you're talking about. They said, you know what, we felt like we really got to know you. We felt like you cared so much about our community, that you were there for us and that you listen and turn around and do something with that. And they value that. And also developing that vision and working through it, that we call it a compelling purpose. And so we have a compelling purpose in our district that we developed together, where we say that we believe that every student deserves access to engaging, innovative learning experiences so that they have choice and opportunity for their future. And so what that's become is, wow, we really believe in providing choice and opportunity for every kid. And that becomes kind of a catch line. Everybody's saying, oh man, we can do that. We can buy into it. And so that's important with the growth that we have with the people who are still here, who are here, because we also know with what's happening in public education in the state of Texas with school choice and the ESAs and just a lot of challenges budget wise, just the challenges that are unprecedented that we've ever faced. We have to have that compelling purpose and vision, and we have to get a community around it, and we have to be really authentic in that, because I think the leadership in school districts is going to make such a difference with that. And communities are going to be looking for that, and districts certainly need strong leadership more than ever.
Yeah, yeah, it's there's
Yeah.
a lot going on, and on a broader scale in public ed, obviously,
Mhm.
but obviously in your district as well, just some amazing things that are happening. Um, there was a question I was going to ask you. Um, it'll probably come to me in, in just a second here. But you definitely have a lot going on. But it seems like you're not getting a lot of pushback, which is great. It seems like because I know some districts we talk to, they're growing and they're getting pushback from the community, they're getting pushback from the staff, and they like can't, they're having a challenge, you know,
Yeah.
filling those shoes.
Yeah. It's very, I mean, maybe Elgin is unique, but our community, I think they know that it's inevitable. The change, the growth is inevitable. It's here, it's upon us, and we are developing at such a fast pace. They're feeling it at the grocery store, they're feeling it on the roads, they're feeling it in the schools, in churches, wherever, and it's upon us. But they're really embracing it, and the schools are a leader for that, and how we embrace it and how we pull them in and make sure we're involving them and that we're listening, in that we're inviting, and we really welcome the newness, and that we welcome the change, and we're welcoming what this is bringing to our community. It's invigorating, and really I think schools can have so much of an impact on that, and we're fortunate that we're not losing enrollment, that we're not in that position. And I know a lot of my colleagues are in that position. That's very hard. And but in our community is really kind of following along with that motivation and excitement. We just have a lot, we have a lot of influence as educators on how that's going to be, how it's going to come across in our community, and what they're going to kind of not just buy into, but what they're going to believe in. And we want to give them something to believe in so that they can really latch onto that with hopes and dreams that they have for their community and for their kids.
Yeah, yeah, that I mean that seems like it's such a key as far as painting the picture of what the future looks like, and then having that culture and that tone set in the community and within the district to meet those changes that are happening.
Yes, it is. And looking forward, knowing that we have so much more growth still in front of us. It's just now we're just scratching the surface. So we have to build that strong foundation, and grow with it and be in front of it as much as we can, so that we remain motivated and inspired all the time.
Awesome. Well, Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I'm glad you were able to come on and share what's happening at the district, and it sounds like a lot of exciting things are happening on the future. So I mean, currently and in the future. But it would be great to have you back on here in a few months and see where things are at, and just this could be almost like a little documentary, every
I love
step of
it.
the way as y'all
You
grow.
bet. You bet. I love that. And I love talking about it because to me, there's nothing more impactful and powerful, important than what we're doing in our schools. So thank you for giving us a voice.
You bet. Yeah, thank you so much. And last question before we close out. Has anybody else in public ed come into your life that you think, man, they would make a great guest on the podcast?
Oh, yes. I have many, many, many I can share with you.
All right. All right. Just let us know. We'll have them on.
You got it.
All right. Well, we will close out. For those that have been tuning in, thank you for listening. Before we close out completely, we do want to give one final shout out to our sponsor, Ideal Impact. Ideal Impact's giving away hundreds of millions of dollars to public education in the form of a free gift. So if your district needs unrestricted funds, reach out to Ideal Impact. And for those that have been tuning in, stay tuned for future episodes of the Educational Leadership Podcast.